Have you ever wondered why some of the strongest moments in your life never needed to be spoken out loud? Think about it. The victories that shaped you the most, the struggles that nearly broke you, the silent battles you fought in the dark, those are the parts of your story that carry the deepest weight. Yet so often the world pressures you to share everything, to post, to tell, to explain, to prove. But not every story is meant for every ear. Some chapters are too precious to scatter in casual conversations or in the scroll of a social feed. Some chapters are sacred and they deserve to be protected. Silence holds a power we rarely talk about. In silence, you give your soul space to grow without interference. You give yourself the freedom to transform without the eyes of others watching, judging, or labeling you. When you choose silence, you are not hiding. You are protecting your energy, protecting your progress, protecting the parts of you that are still being formed, the parts not yet ready to face the noise of opinions. There's a strength in that decision, a strength that most people never discover because they are too busy giving away their story to anyone who will listen. The truth is, when you tell everyone your story, you hand them power over it. You allow them to twist it, question it, or even diminish it. And once you let those voices in, they echo inside you. Their doubts become your doubts. Their judgments weigh you down. But when you hold your story close, you cut off the noise. You take back the power to define your journey on your own terms. You become the author, not the audience. You no longer chase validation. You no longer seek applause. You simply grow quietly, steadily, powerfully. Think about the seed buried in the soil. It doesn't cry out for attention. It doesn't announce its growth. It works in silence, hidden from view. Day by day, it gathers strength, building roots that no storm can rip from the earth. And when it finally breaks the surface, it stands firm. That is how your story should be treated. Not displayed half finished, not revealed before its roots are ready, but guarded, nurtured, and protected until the time comes when nothing can uproot it. This is why you must resist the urge to tell everyone your story, because your silence is not weakness. It is strategy. It is the way you conserve energy for the things that matter most. It is how you keep your dreams alive in a world eager to question them. And when you master the discipline of silence, you unlock a freedom most people never feel. The freedom of knowing your growth belongs to you and you alone. Stay with me until the end, because what you're about to discover is more than advice. It is a shift in how you see yourself, how you protect yourself, and how you move forward in life. By the time we are done, you will understand why your silence is your power, why not everyone deserves your story, and why holding it close may be the very thing that sets you free. There is a hidden danger in revealing too much too soon. When you speak of your dreams before they are built, when you expose your struggles before they are healed, you weaken the very foundation you are trying to strengthen. Psychology has proven this again and again. The simple act of telling others about your goals tricks your mind into believing you have already accomplished something. The praise you receive, the nods of approval, the applause of recognition. Your brain interprets that as progress. But it is not progress, it is illusion. It is the empty sugar rush of achievement without the substance of real work. And in that false satisfaction, your drive begins to fade. The danger runs deeper. When you reveal your raw struggles too quickly, you open the door for doubt to pour in. Someone questions your dream. Someone laughs at your vision. Someone plants a tiny seed of disbelief inside you. That seed grows faster than you realize. Suddenly, the fire that once burned bright feels smaller. Suddenly, your steps feel heavier. Not because you aren't capable, but because you let other voices carry weight in a story that belongs only to you. Every doubt you absorb takes up space that could have been filled with confidence. Every opinion you invite in drains the fuel that should have been reserved for your own belief. You must understand this truth. Sharing is not always strength. Sometimes sharing is surrender. Sometimes it is handing your power away before it has matured. Your mind and heart are the most sacred ground you will ever walk on. Protecting that ground is not selfish. It is survival. It is the discipline of refusing to let outside applause or outside criticism control the pace of your journey. There is nothing wrong with silence. In fact, silence is what gives your actions weight. Let your progress speak. Let your results speak. Let your transformation speak, because actions cannot be doubted in the same way words can. No one can argue with growth they can see. No one can question discipline they can witness. Words are fragile. Actions are undeniable. Think about how many dreams have died not because they were impossible, but because they were exposed too early, shared before they were ready, crushed under the weight of other people's opinions. Do not let that be your story. Do not let the applause of others trick you into thinking you are already finished. Do not let their doubts poison the ground where your future is still growing. Guard it, protect it. Give yourself the time to become unstoppable before anyone has the chance to question you. You don't need to prove anything with your words. You don't need to announce your every step. You don't need to explain yourself to be valid. The only thing you need is to stay faithful to the work, faithful to the vision, faithful to the process that nobody else sees. Because what you are building in silence has the power to roar louder than anything you could ever say. And when the time is right, the world will not just hear your story, they will feel it, they will see it, they will know it is real. Not because you told them, but because you lived it. The moment you share your story with others, you invite their opinions into your life. Some will support you, some will doubt you, some will secretly hope you fail because your courage exposes their fear. And every word they speak lingers in your mind. Their voices follow you into quiet moments. They echo in your thoughts when you are alone. They shape the way you see yourself, often without you even realizing it. What was once pure and certain inside you begins to feel uncertain. What was once a clear vision starts to look blurry, clouded by the weight of perspectives that were never yours to carry. Human beings are wired to seek belonging. We want to feel accepted, validated, understood. But here's the trap. When you rely too much on other people's approval, you hand them control over your confidence. Your sense of worth becomes fragile, dependent on whether others applaud or criticize. You rise when they cheer and you fall when they doubt. That is not freedom. That is captivity. And your story, your sacred, powerful, one-of-a-kind story was never meant to be caged by the expectations of others. Imagine how many dreams have been abandoned because someone said, that's not possible. Imagine how many lives have been lived halfway because someone else's opinion became a prison. The world is full of people who never became who they were meant to be, not because they lacked ability, but because they gave other people's voices more authority than their own. Do not let your story join theirs. Do not hand your vision to people who cannot see it. When you hold back from telling everyone your story, you are not denying connection, you are protecting direction. You are choosing to listen to the one voice that matters most, your own. You are choosing to let your heart set the pace, rather than the unpredictable reactions of people who don't walk your path. And in that choice, you take back your power. You take back your confidence. You take back your freedom. The truth is, you don't need validation to keep going. You don't need applause to be worthy. You don't need permission to move forward. What you need is trust. Trust in yourself, trust in the process, trust in the fact that the vision placed within you was given for a reason. When you understand that, opinions lose their grip. Judgment loses its sting. Doubt loses its power. This is why your silence is a weapon. It shields you from the noise. It keeps your focus sharp. It reminds you that your story is not for everyone to define. It is for you to live. And the more you embrace that, the stronger you become. Strength is not built by winning the approval of others. Strength is built by walking forward even when no one claps. Strength is built by trusting your path even when error in message stream. Every time you reveal your story to someone, you hand them a piece of influence over how you see yourself. Their reactions, their tone, their words, whether encouraging or dismissive, plant themselves in your mind. Some people will cheer, but others will hesitate, question, or even hope that you never succeed because your growth reminds them of what they have not done. Once those voices enter your head, they don't leave easily. They echo, they shape your thoughts, they creep into your confidence at the very moment you need it most. This is the weight of other people's opinions, and if you are not careful, it will crush you before you ever take your next step. The human brain is wired to seek belonging. We are drawn to acceptance, to validation, to the comfort of being understood. But this same wiring can betray us when we begin living for the approval of others. Suddenly, your story doesn't feel like your own. Suddenly, you start editing your dreams to fit their expectations. You make your goals smaller so they won't sound unrealistic. You soften your passion so it won't feel threatening. And in the process, you begin shrinking yourself piece by piece to fit inside the box of their limited vision. But here is the truth you must hold on to. You don't need their validation. You don't need their permission. You don't need their applause. Your worth was never supposed to be measured by someone else's understanding of your journey. You are allowed to walk a path they cannot see. You are allowed to chase a dream they cannot understand. You are allowed to keep sacred the parts of your story that only you have the right to define. When you stop depending on others to believe in you, something remarkable happens. You start believing in yourself more deeply. You no longer wait for their nods to move forward. You no longer pause for their approval before taking action. You stop explaining yourself and start living fully, and in that shift, you take back control. You reclaim your power. You begin to write your story without handing the pen to anyone else. Every opinion you let in is like carrying a stone in your backpack. At first, it feels light, but as you keep collecting stones, the weight becomes unbearable. No wonder so many give up, not because they lack ability, but because they are crushed under the burden of trying to satisfy voices that were never meant to be satisfied. You cannot climb your mountain carrying everyone else's stones. You must put them down. You must decide that your story is too important to be reshaped by their doubts or their jealousy. Let the world think what it wants. Let them misunderstand you. Let them whisper their opinions in the shadows. It does not matter. What matters is the truth you carry inside. What matters is the conviction that you are enough, even without their applause. What matters is the fire that grows stronger when you stop explaining and start becoming. Your story is not for everyone. It was never meant to be. It belongs first to you, and only when it has become unshakable will it have the strength to inspire others. Until then, protect it fiercely, hold it close, and walk forward knowing that the less you give away to the world, the more power you keep inside yourself. Real strength is built from the inside out, not from the applause that comes from outside. Psychologists call it intrinsic motivation, the drive that comes from doing something because it matters to you, not because someone else is watching. When your energy flows from that place, your actions carry a deeper commitment. You stay consistent when no one notices. You persist when no one is cheering. You keep moving forward because the vision burns within you, not because anyone else told you it was worth it. But when you reveal too much too early, you shift the source of your drive. Suddenly, you start working for the reaction. You care more about how it looks than how it feels. You measure success by recognition instead of progress. And when the recognition fades, so does your motivation. What was once sacred begins to feel hollow. What was once pure becomes polluted by the need to be seen. That is the danger of living for approval. You become addicted to an audience that was never supposed to be your fuel. The truth is, nobody else can carry the fire of your dream for you. Nobody else can feel the way it beats in your chest at night. Nobody else knows the exact cost of your sacrifices, the depth of your hunger, or the scale of what you're willing to endure. That's why your motivation must belong to you and only you. When your why is internal, it cannot be stolen. When your drive comes from within, it cannot be silenced. You become untouchable because nothing outside you controls the strength of what's inside. Think about the difference between a flame fed by wind and a flame fueled from its core. The wind may make it dance brighter for a moment, but when the air shifts, it flickers and dies. The fire that burns from within, however, doesn't depend on the wind. It sustains itself. It grows stronger with time. That is the kind of fire you need to build. That is the kind of motivation you must protect. When you guard your story, you protect that inner fire. You keep it from being smothered by unnecessary opinions or distracted by empty applause. You stay rooted in what truly matters, the deep, quiet, unshakable reason why you refuse to quit. And from that place, you gain something rare. You gain resilience, you gain patience, you gain a strength that cannot be faked because it was forged in silence, not in spectacle. You do not need the world to see your effort to prove it is real. You do not need constant recognition to confirm you are worthy. You do not need to speak of your progress for it to have value. The fire within you already knows the truth. The discipline already knows the sacrifice. The heart already knows the price you are willing to pay. And when the time comes, the world will see results they cannot deny because they will be written in the undeniable language of action. Guard your motivation. Protect it like treasure. Keep it pure, untouched by the noise of approval or the sting of doubt. Because when your fuel comes from within, no one can stop you. And when no one can stop you, there is no limit to who you can become. Not everyone deserves access to the deepest parts of you. Your vulnerability is powerful, but only when it is placed in hands that know how to hold it. Too often, people share their wounds with those who see them not as sacred truths, but as opportunities to judge, gossip, or compare. And in doing so, they give away strength that should have been guarded. You must understand that not every listener is safe. Not every person has the capacity to honor your journey. Some will hear your struggles and see weakness. Others will hear your dreams and feel threatened. Still others will listen only to measure themselves against you. That is why discernment is not just wise, it is essential. Protecting your story does not mean closing yourself off from the world. It does not mean living behind walls of fear. It means building gates and being deliberate about who you allow to enter. A gatekeeper does not lock everything away. A gatekeeper chooses carefully, with intention, with awareness. You are the gatekeeper of your own life. And when you honor that role, you protect your spirit from being drained by people who never had the right to carry your truths. There is a dangerous lie in our culture that says openness equals strength, that telling everyone everything makes you brave. But real bravery is knowing when to remain silent. Real bravery is protecting your dreams until they are strong enough to withstand the weight of the world. Real bravery is refusing to give sacred parts of yourself to people who have not earned the right to hear them. Your silence is not fear. Your silence is wisdom. When you choose carefully who you share with, something powerful happens. You create an inner circle of people who lift you, not drain you. You surround yourself with voices that encourage your growth, not those that secretly wish for your downfall. And even more importantly, you prove to yourself that you are worth protecting. Every time you guard your story, you are reminding yourself that your journey matters too much to be treated carelessly. That awareness builds self-respect, and self-respect builds strength. You will notice a shift. The less you reveal to the wrong people, the lighter you feel. The less you explain yourself, the freer you become. The less you allow unworthy voices into your sacred spaces, the stronger your confidence grows. You no longer waste energy defending your path to those who will never understand it. You no longer hand over your power just to feel temporarily seen. Instead, you live with clarity, with focus, with a deep knowing that your story belongs first to you. Do not mistake this protection for selfishness. It is not selfish to protect your energy. It is not selfish to decide who gets to hear your truth. It is not selfish to guard your spirit from harm. It is survival. It is strength. It is the discipline of someone who knows their value and refuses to cheapen it by handing it to everyone who asks. Remember this, your story is sacred ground. Let only those who respect it walk there. And for everyone else, let your silence speak louder than any explanation could. In silence, your strength grows. In silence, your power builds. And in silence, you become untouchable. The greatest achievements are born in the shadows, away from the spotlight, hidden from the noise of the crowd. Every masterpiece begins as a private victory. The athlete who shocks the world has already conquered countless mornings of sweat when no one was watching. The musician who moves millions has already mastered their craft in silence long before the stage lights ever found them. The author whose words changed lives has filled pages in the dark, unseen, unheard, uncelebrated. That is the nature of real growth. It happens where no applause can reach, where no eyes can interfere, where the only validation comes from within. When you keep your journey quiet, you give yourself space to fail without fear of judgment. You allow yourself to experiment, to stumble, to learn without the weight of others pointing fingers or questioning your worth. Private victories are powerful because they are pure. They belong only to you. No one can diminish them. No one can distort them. No one can steal them. And the accumulation of these private victories creates a foundation so strong that by the time the world sees you, nothing can shake you. The temptation to broadcast every step is real, especially in a world that celebrates exposure. But exposure is not the same as progress. Sharing every move dilutes your energy. It makes you perform instead of grow. It turns your transformation into a show rather than a process. Growth does not need to be seen to be real. In fact, it is often most powerful when it is invisible. When the roots are digging deep into the soil unseen by anyone, yet preparing to hold the weight of everything that will bloom above the surface. You must understand that confidence is not built from external recognition. It is built from these unseen wins. Every early morning you choose discipline over comfort, you create a victory that no one can erase. Every time you push through fear and silence, you build a layer of strength no critic can tear down. These victories become your armor. They protect you when the world finally does see you, when the opinions, the doubts, and the questions begin to circle. You will not crumble because you have already proven yourself to yourself. There is a unique peace in knowing that your greatest progress does not need an audience. That peace frees you from comparison. It frees you from the chase for recognition. It frees you from the exhausting need to explain yourself. You no longer need to prove to anyone that you are moving forward because you already know it in the deepest part of your being. And that knowing gives you a quiet power, a calm confidence, a strength that radiates without words. This is why your private victories matter more than the loud ones. The loud victories may get the attention, but the private ones build the person. The loud victories may win the applause, but the private ones forge the identity that no failure can destroy. If you want to rise unshakable, you must embrace the silence where no one is watching. You must honor the hidden wins that belong only to you. For it is in those invisible battles, fought and won in the quiet, that the strongest version of you is born. There are parts of your story that carry pain so deep, it feels like they demand to be spoken. The scars, the disappointments, the heartbreaks, these moments shape you in ways that words can barely capture. But pouring them out too soon to people who cannot hold them with care does not bring healing. It only reopens wounds that were meant to close. True transformation does not happen when you bleed in public. It happens when you allow silence to cradle your pain long enough for it to become strength. Silence is not avoidance. Silence is the sacred space where your suffering is refined into wisdom. When you take the time to sit with your pain, instead of rushing to share it, you allow it to teach you. Pain is a brutal but honest teacher. It strips away illusions. It reveals who you really are when everything else is gone. It forces you to face your fears, your limits, your weaknesses, and in that confrontation, you begin to grow. But this growth happens quietly, in the moments no one else sees, in the battles no one else knows you are fighting. And that quiet process is where the raw material of power is created. The world often tells you to speak your truth before it has even settled in your heart. But truth revealed before it matures is not truth. It is noise. It is half-formed understanding, easily broken, easily dismissed. Your lessons are not ready to be given away until you have lived them fully, until your scars have healed enough that they no longer ache when touched, until your past no longer controls your present. That is when your story carries weight. That is when your words inspire, not because they are raw, but because they are whole. Pain that is still bleeding cannot empower others, but pain that has been transformed can change lives. This is why you must protect your story while it is still fragile. Do not let it be trampled by careless words or shallow opinions. Hold it close. Let silence do its work. Let the ache sharpen into insight. Let the struggle shape into resilience. Then when you finally speak, you will not be speaking from brokenness. You will be speaking from power. The most inspiring stories are never about wounds. They are about healing. They are about what survived, what endured, what refused to be destroyed. Your pain may be the raw material, but your strength is the finished product. And that strength can only be revealed after time, after silence, after reflection. So resist the pressure to give your story away before it is ready. Your silence is not weakness, it is incubation. It is the soil where pain is buried and reborn as wisdom. When you embrace this process, you begin to see your scars differently. They are no longer marks of shame, but proof of survival. They are not reminders of what broke you, but evidence of what could not defeat you. And when you finally choose to share them, your story will not be one of despair, but of victory. You will not inspire others with your wounds. You will inspire them with your healing. That is the true power of guarding your story until it becomes strength. Dreams are most fragile in their earliest stages. They begin as sparks, delicate, vulnerable, easily extinguished. Share them too quickly, and they can be smothered by doubt, envy, or careless words. Just like seeds buried in the soil, your dreams require darkness, patience, and quiet nurturing before they are strong enough to face the light. A seed that is pulled out too soon never grows. A dream revealed too early may never survive. That is why silence is not just protection, it is nourishment. When you guard your dreams, you give them space to breathe without interference. You allow them to root themselves deeply within you, to grow unseen until they are unshakable. The moment you expose them, you invite storms you may not yet be ready to endure. Opinions, comparisons, and doubts can act like harsh winds against a fragile sprout. But when you protect your vision in silence, you allow it to grow strong enough to withstand anything. The human mind is sensitive to suggestion. Even a single phrase from someone who does not understand your vision can plant doubt that lingers for years. This is not because you lack strength, but because we are wired to internalize the voices around us. Neuroscience has shown how powerfully external input shapes our beliefs. That is why guarding your story matters so deeply. The voices you let in can either water your dream or poison it. And most people, even with good intentions, do not carry the right water. You must be deliberate. Treat your dreams like sacred ground. Ask yourself, who has the right to hear them? Who has earned the privilege of knowing what you are building? The answer will never be everyone, because not everyone can understand, not everyone can support, and not everyone wants to see you rise. Protecting your dreams does not make you secretive. It makes you wise. It means you understand the difference between what is precious and what is public. Think of the strength you gain when you stop seeking validation for ideas that have not yet matured. You free yourself from explaining. You free yourself from defending. You free yourself from shrinking your vision just to make it palatable for someone else's comfort. In silence, your dream remains whole, untarnished, uncut. And in that wholeness, it grows stronger than you ever imagined. There will come a time when your vision will be undeniable, when your dream will stand tall enough to weather the storms of doubt. But until then, you must honor its fragility. You must keep it safe in the soil of your own heart. You must let it grow in silence, where no careless hand can reach it, where no jealous word can weaken it, where no shallow judgment can distort it. This is the discipline of greatness, to guard what is most sacred until it is strong enough to shine. To protect your dream, not because you are afraid, but because you understand its worth. And when that dream finally blooms, the world will not just see it, they will marvel at its strength because it survived the silence where most dreams die. When you choose to protect your story, you must also accept something that feels uncomfortable. Not everyone will understand you. People may misinterpret your silence. They may create their own versions of your journey. They may whisper, speculate, or label you in ways that do not reflect your truth. And yet, being misunderstood is not a curse. It is a form of freedom. It means you are no longer bound to the exhausting task of explaining yourself. You no longer spend energy proving your worth to people who are determined not to see it. You are no longer trapped in the cycle of defending your vision to those who lack the ability to dream as big as you do. To be misunderstood and remain at peace requires strength. It requires letting go of the need for approval and embracing the deeper satisfaction of self-acceptance. The more you try to explain your path, the more power you give to those who were never walking it. But when you stop explaining, you reclaim your energy. You conserve your focus. You channel every ounce of strength into action rather than justification. And action will always speak louder than explanation. There is a deep psychological truth here. People often project their own limitations onto you. When they doubt your vision, it is not because you are incapable. It is because they cannot imagine themselves doing it. Their disbelief is a reflection of their own fears, not your potential. If you spend your life trying to convince them otherwise, you waste precious energy fighting shadows that were never yours to fight. But when you let them misunderstand, when you allow their doubt to roll off your back, you rise above their limitations. You step into a higher space where your progress becomes undeniable, even without a single word. The freedom of being misunderstood is that you no longer need to carry the burden of everyone else's expectations. You stop trying to fit into the mold they built for you. You stop shrinking your vision to make it easier for them to digest. You stop apologizing for the size of your dreams. Instead, you walk boldly in your own direction with a calm confidence that does not depend on agreement. You may be judged, but you will be free. You may be doubted, but you will be authentic. You may be alone for a time, but you will be unshakable. Imagine the relief of no longer explaining yourself. Imagine the energy that would return to you if you stop rehearsing answers in your head. Stop crafting defenses for choices that are yours to make. That energy, redirected into your growth, will create momentum beyond anything approval could give you. And once momentum builds, misunderstanding no longer matters because results speak a language that no rumor, no doubt, no assumption can silence. Let them misunderstand you. Let them question. Let them form their opinions in the dark. None of it can touch the truth you are living. Your silence is not emptiness. It is strength. Your refusal to explain is not weakness. It is wisdom. The greatest victories do not require words. They require persistence, focus, and a quiet fire that refuses to be dimmed. In time, the same people who misunderstood you will witness a reality they cannot deny. And by then, you won't need to explain a thing. Every word you speak carries energy. Every explanation you give drains a part of you. And when you scatter your story in every direction, you scatter your power. You wonder why you feel exhausted, unfocused, unable to move forward with clarity. It is because your energy is spread too thin, poured into the ears of those who were never meant to carry it. Focus is a discipline, and it begins with guarding what you say. When you choose silence, you are not withholding, you are concentrating. You are channeling your strength toward action rather than wasting it on empty explanations. Energy is like light. A weak beam scattered in all directions cannot cut through anything. But when light is focused, it becomes a laser strong enough to cut through steel. The same is true of your story, your dreams, your energy. When you give it away carelessly, it loses its strength. But when you hold it close, when you direct it with intention, it becomes unstoppable. Focus is what separates those who wish from those who achieve. Your progress does not require commentary. It requires commitment. Every time you choose silence over unnecessary words, you reclaim power. You save that energy for the work, for the practice, for the actions that actually move your life forward. And over time, the results of that focused energy become undeniable. They shine without you ever needing to explain. The human mind is wired for distraction. We are pulled in 1,000 directions each day, and every time we give more words than necessary, we divide our attention further. But growth requires intensity. It requires pouring yourself fully into what you are building, with nothing left wasted on convincing others of your path. Silence sharpens your mind. It removes noise. It cuts through confusion. It creates space for deep work, for clarity, for momentum that cannot be stopped. Ask yourself this: how much stronger would you be if every ounce of energy you spent explaining yourself was poured into action? How much further would you be if every word spoken to defend your vision was replaced with discipline applied in silence? The answer is simple. You would already be closer to the life you imagine. You would already feel the momentum of unstoppable progress. Because words can inspire, but only action transforms. When you embrace this discipline, you will feel the difference. Your focus will sharpen. Your spirit will grow lighter. The weight of constant explanation will fall away. And in its place, you will carry the momentum of clarity. You will no longer be drained by the opinions of others because you will no longer be feeding them. You will no longer scatter your power into 100 different directions because you will be pouring it into one. Your story is not meant to be performed. It is meant to be lived. Every moment you choose action over explanation, you strengthen your momentum. Every time you guard your energy, you build power. And when that power is focused, nothing can stop you. Not doubt, not judgment, not fear. Because a life lived with concentrated energy is a life that cuts through every obstacle in its way. There is a quiet strength in choosing not to reveal everything you carry. That strength builds something inside you that no one can touch: resilience. When you hold your story close, you are training your mind to stand firm without outside validation. You are learning to walk without needing applause, to push forward without needing approval, to keep building even when no one sees. This resilience is what separates those who survive from those who thrive. It is the muscle that keeps you moving when life grows heavy, when obstacles rise, when silence feels unbearable. Resilience is not born from telling the world what you plan to do. It is born from doing it step by step without recognition. It is born in the moments when you could share your struggle for comfort, but you choose to face it in silence so that you grow stronger. It is born in the nights when doubt whispers that you are alone, and you answer with determination rather than reaching for someone else to fix it. By holding your story, you are teaching yourself to endure, to carry, to fight from within. The human spirit is shaped by resistance. Just as muscles grow when they are pushed against weight, Your character grows when you carry your struggles quietly. Sharing too soon releases the weight before it has done its work. You escape the pressure that would have made you stronger. But when you embrace the silence, when you hold on through the tension, you come out forward, sharper, unbreakable. You are no longer dependent on the validation of others because you have learned to validate yourself. This resilience creates a foundation of unshakable confidence, not the shallow confidence that comes from applause, but the deep certainty that comes from surviving your own battles. When you know you can endure, you no longer fear the storms of life. When you know you can carry your own weight, you no longer crave the crutches of constant support. You stand taller, move bolder, speak clearer, not because someone else told you that you could, but because you proved it to yourself in silence. Imagine how powerful you become when you stop giving away your story as a way to ease your burden. Imagine facing your battles without running to explain, without reaching for validation, without craving sympathy. The strength that grows from that choice makes you unstoppable. Because if you can endure without being seen, then being seen becomes a bonus, not a necessity. And when recognition is no longer required, your actions become pure. You build because you must. You grow because it is who you are. You endure because resilience is now a part of your identity. Your silence does not weaken you. It hardens you in the best way. It sharpens your focus. It stretches your endurance. It proves to you that no matter who stands beside you or who walks away, you are enough. This is the core of true resilience. And once it is built, it cannot be taken from you. Not by doubt, not by failure, not by rejection, because resilience is the one thing no one can give you and no one can steal. It is the unbreakable gift you forge in silence, and it will carry you farther than applause ever could. The moment you stop telling everyone your story, you create space for something even more powerful, mystery. And mystery is not emptiness, it is magnetism. When people do not know every detail of your life, they begin to wonder. They become curious. They sense there is more to you than what meets the eye. And that curiosity pulls their attention toward you without you ever having to ask for it. What you hold back speaks louder than what you share. What you protect becomes more valuable precisely because it is not freely given. There is a reason the most powerful people in history spoke less than they knew. Their restraint created gravity. Their silence demanded respect. Their mystery made people listen more closely when they did decide to speak. And this is a truth you can use in your own life. When you choose to guard your story, you are building an aura of strength that others cannot ignore. You are no longer chasing attention. You are attracting it. You are no longer convincing people to value you. You are showing them that your value does not depend on their understanding. Psychology tells us that scarcity increases value. The less accessible something is, the more people want it. The same applies to your words, your energy, your story. If you give it away too often, it becomes ordinary, overlooked, forgotten. But when you share sparingly, when you guard what is sacred, every word gains weight. Every detail matters. Every glimpse feels precious. And this is not manipulation. It is discipline. It is the choice to treat your life as something worthy of protection rather than something to be consumed by anyone who asks. Think about how people treat those who overshare. At first, they may listen. They may nod. They may even show empathy. But over time, the more someone gives away, the less seriously they are taken. Their words lose their power. Their struggles lose their weight. Their dreams sound like noise. But the person who speaks little, who holds back, who chooses carefully when and how to reveal, this person commands attention. Their silence is not emptiness. It is presence. It is control. It is a signal to the world that their story is not entertainment, but something sacred. You do not need to chase validation when you understand the power of mystery. You do not need to convince people of your worth when your restraint already proves it. Every time you hold back, you are silently telling the world, I am not here to be consumed. I'm here to be respected. And respect, once earned, creates influence that no amount of oversharing could ever build. Mystery also protects your peace. It keeps people guessing, but more importantly, it keeps you grounded. It gives you control over what enters the world and what remains yours. It allows you to walk with dignity, to work in silence, to grow without interference. And when the time comes for you to speak, your words will cut deeper, resonate stronger, and carry more impact because they come from a place of scarcity and intention. Your silence is not weakness. Your mystery is not avoidance. It is strength. It is power. It is the quiet magnetism that draws people toward you while protecting your energy. guard it, honor it, live it. And you will discover that sometimes what you don't say is far more powerful than anything you could.